From ancient civilizations to medieval kingdoms to our own modern society, conspiracy theories abound about those in control keeping powerful secrets from the people, from all of us. And while the allegations may vary, the overarching questions remain the same. What are they hiding? Why are they hiding it? And where is it hidden?
Secret government warehouses. Where are they? And what secrets do they hold?
You can't apply federal laws to a non-existent place.
Tonight, an investigation to find out.
How do people get in here?
We'll travel the world looking for answers. From powerful Washington insiders.
Could there be military bases we don't know about?
At an abandoned military base in Montauk, New York, with investigator Richard Dolan.
We're starting to see the disturbances already.
In the skies above the legendary Area 51 in Nevada, with researcher Glenn Campbell.
Helicopter 9660 Hotel, you familiar with that restricted airspace 3 miles to your west?
All the way across the ocean to perhaps the biggest repository of history on Earth, the Vatican.
Can we go into the actual archive now?
Our investigation will reveal shocking revelations about secret government experiments on U.S. citizens.
We were making human guinea pigs out of civilians.
Cover-ups about the existence of UFOs.
I couldn't tell them what I was done because it was top secret.
Potential evidence from a secret base that may provide proof the government has been hiding the truth about extraterrestrial life for decades.
You're certainly not human.
It's so unusual. It's like nothing I've ever seen before.
We'll speak to informants who divulge details about what's hidden and where.
There's thousands and thousands of underground tunnels.
And for the first time on network TV, bring you footage purportedly smuggled out of Area 51 of an extraterrestrial. Travel with us on a global expedition to find the truth about secret government warehouses.
Welcome to Warehouse 13.
The secret government warehouse. It's a concept portrayed in pop culture that has intrigued audiences around the world for generations.
What is this place?
Officially, K39ZZZ on the North American grid. But I like to think of it as America's attic.
In the sci-fi series Warehouse 13, 2 Secret Service agents are sent to a classified location in the middle of the desert. There, they are told they must protect a mysterious government facility full of historical artifacts that have potentially catastrophic paranormal powers.
What you're supposed to do is hunt down whatever is threatening to ruin the world's day and neutralize it and bring it here. You're gonna snag it and bag it and tag it.
It may seem like a far-fetched idea, but we know there are locations around the world where governments are hiding things. On military bases, in government archives, in underground bunkers. Many of them pertain to national security. But are there other deep secrets inside these restricted areas?
What are they doing in Fort Knox or in Area 51? What are they doing in the Vatican that I can't go in and see? The mere fact of refusing to let people in makes the people on the outside question why are they being shut out and what is actually happening in that secret area or secret meeting.
Are there facilities we don't even know about, hiding things we should know about? Some say yes.
I believe that there are large numbers of underground facilities throughout this world, a large number of Warehouse 13 type facilities. Everything's in its little compartment, buried away very, very secretly, whether it deals with mind control or UFOs or maybe secret biological weapons or what have you. Secrecy is the norm, not the exception.
To answer these questions, we began our investigation in Washington, D.C. We've come to talk with John Podesta, former chief of staff to President Clinton and a longtime advocate for government transparency, to get an inside perspective on just how extensive government secrecy may be.
Has the government, in your knowledge, ever gone too far in keeping something secret?
I mean, of course the government can go too far and keep it secret, and those habits kind of die hard. We just need to be observant to ensure that the public gets the maximum information that we can provide it.
Is there a sense sometimes that the American public can't handle this information?
People who are classifying information think the American public can't really handle it or don't need to know it. But I think over the long term, that's really dangerous. I think the American public can handle the truth.
But how much don't we know as a society?
There are sensitive operations that are kept secret that is critical to the success of those operations. But having said that, there's a lot that's swept into that zone, which for reasons that really are not about security, but could be done because if the public knew, they wouldn't want it being done in their name.
One of the biggest sources of speculation is the existence of still classified UFO files.
Why has the U.S. not been more forthcoming, opened up more information about UFO sightings, either proving or disproving?
I think that's a question that I ask myself. I mean, is there something really in there that the American people couldn't really be made available to? Maybe, maybe it'll seem whatever the government was doing at the time might seem a little silly in retrospect, but so what? I mean, I think the public has a right to know that.
While the U.S. government still keeps UFO documents stashed away at a government facility somewhere, other countries are finally coming clean. In 2008, the UK declassified its UFO records. And for the first time, witnesses, including members of the U.S. military, have been able to publicly come forward with their stories.
I couldn't tell them what I had done because it was top secret.
Milton Torres is a retired U.S. fighter pilot. In 1957, while stationed in the UK, a strange assignment came over his radio.
They informed me that this was going to be an active firing mission. Then they said, this is an unidentified flying object. We want you to shoot this thing down.
When Torres reached the designated coordinates, a giant object appeared on his radar screen.
It was doing maneuvers that I couldn't follow. It would stop and then take off. Right angles. I got in, within 20 seconds to go, when all of a sudden it just disappeared. I mean, it took off something like 10 times the speed of sound. This is faster than anything we have on the drawing board. I was afraid for my life.
Torres returned to base and was ordered to never reveal what he saw in the air.
They said that this mission has been declared top secret. You're not to discuss this with anyone, not your wife, not your commander, not anyone. If you violate top secret instructions, you can go to jail.
To this day, Torres does not know what it was he saw on his radar screen, but he has his suspicions.
I don't think we're alone. And whoever built that machine knew a hell of a lot more than I did.
Could stories like Torres's still be under lock and key within the U.S. government's UFO files? Even some politicians believe the answer is yes. Former Arizona Governor Fife Symington, who witnessed the unexplained Phoenix lights, believes it was a UFO and that it was covered up by the U.S. government.
I witnessed a massive delta-shaped craft that silently navigated over North Phoenix. We want the United States government to stop perpetuating the myth that all UFOs can be explained away in down-to-earth and conventional terms.
And Ohio Congressman Dennis Kucinich says he witnessed a UFO as well.
Congressman Kucinich, did you see a UFO?
I did. It was unidentified flying object, okay? It's unidentified. I saw something.
Does the government know something about alien technology that it isn't telling us?
I am convinced that our government has physical evidence, has answers, has information pertaining to the actual existence of UFOs.
Many believe if there is evidence of UFOs, it is held deep underground here at the remote Air Force Base in Nevada, commonly known as Area 51. The heavily guarded base is so shrouded in security and mystery, it wasn't even acknowledged by the government until 1994. Even today, it is hard to sort out who officially oversees it. We filed a written request for access, but weeks went by with no reply, so we decided to call.
We put in an official request to film at the government facility at Groom Lake, also known as Area 51. I do think that there is some merit to be able to get onto a base such as yours and see what actually is there and what kind of programs taxpayer dollars are paying for. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. You said that you would be willing to look at our request.
While we wait for a reply, we focus on another location steeped in lore. Camp Hero State Park in Montauk, New York. Author and investigator Richard Dolan heads there to look into claims of covert mind control, time travel, and teleportation experiments conducted by the government in underground facilities.
I want to find some kind of evidence to show that there may have been substantial underground activity around here. If we get that, maybe we can have another jumping off point for a further investigation.
From 1942 to 1982, Camp Hero was a military base where servicemen were often on the lookout for enemy planes or submarines. But according to Stuart Swerdlow, the base also had a darker side. He claims that from 1970 to 1983, the government experimented on him at Camp Hero as part of a program he calls the Montauk Project.
It was actually begun as a project for mind control, programming, genetic manipulation, and esoteric weaponry. Part of the Montauk Project involved time travel or opening up dimensional doorways from one point to another point.
Swerdlow says he, along with thousands of other people, were taken off the streets and from their homes and brought to an underground facility at Camp Hero.
The Montauk base on the surface was a derelict or old Air Force base. Underneath, there were 9 levels where the operations took place. There were centers where they would keep people sequestered.
It may sound far-fetched, but the U.S. government conducting secret experiments on Americans without their permission is not. It has hidden programs from its citizens in the past and stashed away or destroyed the evidence. Like the medical research done for 40 years on poor black men in Tuskegee, Alabama. They were secretly mistreated for syphilis by the government in an effort to see how they would react. It's only one of the insidious programs uncovered over time.
At the height of the Cold War, we now know that the United States military was using the American people as guinea pigs, basically releasing radiation into populated areas to see how fast radiation would spread. The military was experimenting on people without their permission, injecting people with plutonium, which is, of course, one of the most toxic chemicals known to science. They even gassed the New York subway system.
But perhaps the most shocking programs involve mind control experiments carried out from the 1950s to the 1970s. The most infamous among them was MK Ultra.
MK Ultra was a top secret project to see whether or not mind control was a possibility. The military and the CIA began to look into the possibility of LSD, mind-altering hallucinogenic drugs that could brainwash people. Well, the consequences of this, of course, are enormous because this was uncharted territory. People went crazy. We were destroying people's minds.
Retired Army officer Michael Bailey says he was one of the military's test subjects.
They said the tests were safe. There was nothing to be scared of.
Bailey was stationed at the Edgewood Arsenal military base in Maryland in the mid-1970s after volunteering for what he thought was a program to test uniforms and equipment.
They explained that we were going to be testing equipment of the battlefields of the future, and it sounded exciting.
But in fact, Bailey says he and hundreds of other soldiers were injected with LSD and other harmful drugs or exposed to dangerous gases to see how they would behave. We obtained this once restricted training video shot by the military, which shows some of the effects of the experiments conducted on their own men stationed at Edgewood.
6.5 hours after exposure time, the confused volunteer needed help as he attempted to traverse part of an obstacle course. At this point, hallucinations and other mental disturbances were evident.
Looking back, Bailey believes his government betrayed him.
You trusted the government, you trusted the Army. It was a bunch of lies. There was a lot of harm done at Edgewood Arsenal.
More than 100 of these mind control experiments were conducted at military bases, in hospitals, and at leading universities like Princeton and Harvard. But these programs had some disastrous consequences.
There were a number of suicides, a number of unsuccessful suicides. One man who had been dosed with LSD actually tried to commit suicide on his front lawn in front of his children and was in a what's commonly called a flashback state.
The truth behind MK Ultra was only revealed in the mid-1970s. All the classified documents were ordered to be destroyed by the head of the CIA. But about 10 boxes of financial records were overlooked, and a small portion of the dark truth was uncovered.
The thing about MK Ultra we have to remember is that we have very little information about the specifics of the programs, and that is because most of those records were destroyed.
Without comprehensive records about who exactly was involved, some speculate that MK Ultra victims may have changed the course of history.
The assassin of Robert F. Kennedy, Sirhan Sirhan, has been speculated for a long time to have been a mind control victim.
At Harvard, it's interesting to note, one of the students involved in the experiments there was the Unabomber.
If experiments like MK Ultra took place without public knowledge, is it possible the Montauk Project is another example of a government program that to this day remains classified?
We only learned about MK Ultra by accident. It could so easily be the case that had all those records been properly destroyed, to this day, all MK Ultra would be rumor. When I think about that in connection with something like Montauk, it makes me think that it's just possible that the Montauk Project remains rumor because simply the guys running the security did a better job than they did with MK Ultra.
Could the U.S. government have been conducting experiments inside secret underground bunkers at this retired military base? That's what Richard Dolan is hoping to find out.
If the claims about the Montauk Project are true, that'll change everything about what we think we know about this world. And I have to say, if you're going to have a secret program, then Montauk is a great place to have it in a lot of ways. It's very remote. I think that it's possible that there has been some strange activity going on under there.
Since the base is now a state park, we asked park officials for permission to access any underground areas. But they said they are not aware of any tunnel system in Camp Hero. Dolan has heard otherwise.
I'm told that there are interesting structures in this area. Tunnels I've read about. I want to see something.
And what he finds may change what we think about the Montauk Project.
What the hell is this? Wait, what is this?
Ahead, I'll join Dolan at Montauk, where we'll use cutting-edge technology to look below the ground.
There is something here that could be an underground structure.
Later, I'll examine potential evidence that could prove the U.S. military has been covering up the existence of extraterrestrial life for years.
Could this be the smoking gun that we're all looking for?
But first, I'm heading to Rome, Italy, to try to get past the Vatican gates and into one of the most mysterious repositories in the world. The Vatican Secret Archives.
No one knows exactly what secrets are in the Vatican archives. They are so huge.
All this when Inside Secret Government Warehouses continues. Our investigation navigation into the world's most secretive warehouses brings us here to Rome, Italy, home to the smallest sovereign state in the world, but also one of the most influential, Vatican City. It is the headquarters of the Catholic Church and its 1 billion followers. And although its government rules over only 108 acres of land, the reach of its power has extended around the world.
The Vatican is an intriguing place because it's the oldest continuously existing organization on the face of the earth. You can trace it back 2,000 years.
The Vatican's role in shaping history is well documented, and some of it, like its support of the arts, is proudly on display here.
It's one of, if not the greatest, repositories of art, history, tradition, theology, and written material in the world. It is a treasure trove.
Behind me are the hallowed halls of Vatican City, and somewhere deep inside, the Vatican's secret archives. 52 miles of shelves holding thousands of documents. It is perhaps the richest repository of history in the world, and yet it is off limits to almost everyone. For years, scholars and citizens alike have wondered what's hidden inside. Is the Vatican guarding powerful secrets?
No one knows exactly what secrets are in the Vatican archives. They are so huge, and scholars are rather limited in what they're allowed to look at. I don't know that we'll ever know everything that they have there.
The secrecy and lack of access have stoked the interest of academics, writers, and even Hollywood. In the novel and later movie, The Da Vinci Code, it is speculated that the church might be hiding the truth about the bloodline of Jesus Christ. While in the movie Angels and Demons, an ancient document stored inside the archives holds the key to preventing a secret society called the Illuminati from exacting revenge on the Vatican.
This way, please.
The archives in the movie is a vast, highly secure, state-of-the-art facility filled with millions of documents.
The chambers are hermetic vaults. Oxygen is kept at lowest possible levels. There's a partial vacuum inside.
Could the real Vatican secret archives be a facility like this one? And could there be documents inside pertaining to explosive subject matter the church may want hidden? Like prophecies about the apocalypse, evidence of a supposed bloodline of Christ, exorcisms, or secret societies. Information that might alter our understanding not just of the church, but of history. Recent discoveries tell us yes. Vatican archivist Barbara Frale found a document buried inside that is key to understanding the Pope's role in the execution of the legendary Knights Templar.
Many people believe that Pope Clement V led the investigation into the Templar Knights and disavowed them and led to their downfall. You have found a document. What does that document tell us about the story?
In 2001, we found in the Vatican's secret archive an original parchment belonging to Pope Clement V, who asked for a secret hearing for the masters of the Templar Order, absolving them, as he was convinced they weren't heretics. Now we know that the Church never condemned the Templar Order, and that it was the King of France's act of violence and abuse to cause the closure of the order.
Because this document was filed in the archives in a strange way, its existence remained unknown for hundreds of years.
This makes me wonder, could there be other documents about other important pieces of history that have not been found?
There are still millions of documents which are yet undiscovered in the Vatican secret archive.
So what else might be hidden unintentionally or intentionally inside? Much of the speculation about what is intentionally withheld is about end-of-the-world prophecies, like the famous Third Secret of Fatima. It is one of the most well-known and important prophecies to Catholics around the world. The story goes that in 1917, a vision of the Virgin Mary appeared several times to 3 small children near Fatima, Portugal. Today, a site where thousands of the faithful flock each year. During her visits, the vision is said to have shared 3 secrets about the future. But the Vatican only revealed the first 2.
The first one was a vision of hell. The second one had to do with the end of World War I and the beginning of another great war shortly thereafter if Russia wasn't converted to Catholicism.
But the third secret was with hell, leaving some, like Fatima researcher Christopher Ferrara, to wonder what it said.
In 1960, for reasons unknown, the Vatican let it be known that the secret was going to be placed under seal forever. But on June 26, 2000, the Vatican finally relented under mounting pressure and published a vision.
The announcement of a third secret made international news.
For years, people speculated that the third secret was actually a prophecy about the end of the world. Today, before 500,000 followers, a Vatican official revealed the secret. The vision showed a bishop dressed in white, shot down by a burst of gunfire.
According to the Vatican, the prophecy of the third secret was fulfilled on May 13, 1981. That's when the Pope, interpreted as the bishop in white, was shot here on St. Peter's Square as he waved to the faithful from his vehicle. But there are those who don't believe that explanation. They believe the real third secret may still be hidden inside the Vatican, and that it contains an even more startling revelation.
A revelation about a global crisis.
The secret involves a crisis in the church and some kind of apocalyptic scenario that affects every man, woman, and child on the face of the earth.
I've been granted rare permission to enter the archives with our cameras to see what's inside. The first thing I'm shown is kept in the head archivist's office, and it exemplifies the kind of rich history that's stored here. Explain what this document is we're looking at.
This is the letter addressed to Clement VII from the Lords of the English Parliament, in which they ask the Pope to annul the wedding between Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon.
This led to the Church of England breaking away from the Catholic Church, did it not?
Si. But not all the documents get such a grand display. Most of them are buried deep inside the main archives facility. The Archives Secretary General, Luca Carboni, has agreed to meet with me and take me into the heart of it all.
Can we go into the actual archive now?
We go to see the storage of the archives.
Where the archives
the storage.
We arrive at the main facility, and I'm instantly overwhelmed by the massive number of files that are before us.
We are standing amid the history of the Catholic Church, but this is also an important part of the history of the world, isn't it?
The Vatican Archives is important in the world, unique because we preserve a continuous chronological space of over 800 years, from 1198 onwards.
Documents as varied as records of medieval families to letters from the brilliant astronomer Galileo, who had famous battles with church leaders of his time, live on these shelves.
So you have a correspondence from Galileo.
We have a simple letter to a cardinal from Galileo.
So that's Galileo's signature.
Galileo's signature from Florence in the 18th of December 1628.
There is just so much here. Is it possible that there are things here that even the archivists don't know about?
Yes. Each day we discover something new or something interesting.
When you use the term secret here...
Okay. Secret means private.
Secret, in this case, doesn't mean things that no one can see.
No. Only private.
private, but off limits to all but about 1,000 researchers handpicked by the Vatican each year. It's not hard to imagine how documents can get buried in this vast warehouse, either accidentally or on purpose.
The Secrets of Fatima, would we find something about the Secrets of Fatima here?
No. Here is not preserved. If I don't remember, if I remember well, it's not here.
But then, where is it? Are there other secure places within Vatican City? Even within this facility, there are areas that are restricted, like the Parchment Room, holding some of the oldest and most important documents.
Can scholars and researchers come here?
No. Only the staff of the Vatican Archives.
All your parchment are kept here?
We preserve 50,000 of single parchment in this room on 2 floors.
The air feels different. Is the climate controlled here?
Yes, it's under control.
And what is in here?
Here we have the famous Templar trials. The 3 meters of parchment rolls.
But we can't see it?
No, it's close.
There's no doubt that this repository is one of a kind. But the Vatican has not shown us evidence to prove or disprove the rumors of secret documents being stored inside the archives. So we're headed to Montauk, New York, to look for clues into claims of underground mind control and time travel experiments. And later, we're going to some of the most heavily guarded military bases in the U.S. to investigate reports that proof of alien life is stored inside. All this when Inside Secret Government Warehouses continues. We're on a quest to uncover the world's most elusive government warehouses and the secrets that may be buried inside. Our investigation returns to Camp Hero State Park in Montauk, New York. We're looking into claims about the so-called Montauk Project.
The story goes, the radar tower behind me was once the epicenter of the Montauk Project's dangerous mind control experiments, and that 9 subterranean levels beneath the tower housed top-secret technology that transported thousands of people through time and space. But do those underground facilities really exist?
According to the United States government, there are no underground facilities at Montauk. Of course, you have to bear in mind that the United States government does almost certainly have many underground facilities that they don't wish to acknowledge.
Author and investigator Richard Dolan has agreed to meet me at Camp Hero to take a closer look.
Can we establish there's something underground?
The thing that I've been thinking about is it's impossible to establish the veracity of the claims of the people themselves, but if we can bring some kind of instrumentation to take a look below the ground, I'm thinking ground-penetrating radar, we might be able to find out one way or the other if there's anything that we can notice.
At least confirm some parts of the story.
According to Stuart Swerdlow, he along with thousands of others were brought here to be programmed or mind-controlled.
I was subjected to many types of experimentations, interrogations, indoctrinations. I was used in the time travel experimentation.
To do this, Swerdlow says he was sequestered in facilities directly beneath the old radar tower. Deep underground, he says, there were 9 levels of rooms, and within those rooms was a device called the Montauk chair.
Looked kind of like a dental chair that the person would sit on. There'd be a headset that would go over them. There were huge computer banks around that location. And they would be the psychic who would be sitting in the chair and generate thoughts electromagnetically into this device, which could be amplified and stored on the computer so that it could be amplified and transmitted.
But mind control wasn't the only concept being tested at Montauk, Swerdlow says. According to him, they were also experimenting with time travel and teleportation using strange technology.
It's like a huge mirror frame And in the frame, there is technology that creates vibrational frequencies that can match points in time and space. And you literally walk through. And that is how they transported people from Montauk.
If Swerdlow's claims are true, it would completely change the way we see the world. Up to this point, time travel and teleportation have simply been concepts explored in pop culture, in movies like the Philadelphia Experiment and Back to the Future. But were teleportation and time travel experiments like these taking place at Camp Hero? We asked the military about the existence of these experiments and underground spaces at this former base. After speaking with several different departments and officials, we still didn't get a clear answer. But theoretical physicist Michio Kaku says time travel and teleportation are not possible with current technology.
Claims about the Montauk Project talk about teleportation, time travel. But let's be blunt about this. The United States military, the most powerful military on the planet Earth, simply does not have enough energy to bend space and time into knots.
Still, we know the government does have a history of experimenting on unwitting Americans, especially with mind control. So we've brought in the latest technology to help us determine if there's anything underground here. Jamie Harmon and Dan Welch are ground-penetrating radar technicians. The technology they have should be able to detect anomalies underground.
I know this is ground-penetrating radar, but explain to me what you can do with this.
This orange box here, this is the radar pulses going down into the ground. When they meet something with a different material property like stone or something metal, we'll get a reflection which will bounce back to the surface.
So if you see a man-made tunnel or something, it would show up pretty clearly on that?
Mm-hmm. You know, it takes a little interpretation, but it will show up on the screen.
Today, the area around the radar tower is completely off-limits, fenced off with warning signs. The park says it's because of concerns about falling debris, but Swerdlow says otherwise.
The reason there's a fence around the radar tower is because underneath there is the main part of the Montauk base. They don't want people going in there. The entrance is sealed.
But the park has granted us rare access to the restricted area surrounding the radar tower, with a stern warning not to get too close to the rusting satellite dish.
It's pretty strong reflection.
Our time here is limited, so we decide to split into two teams. Dolan goes to do a quick pass with his Geiger counter to see if there are any anomalies around the radar tower.
It's basically reading at just under 10, which is very low.
When he finds nothing strange, he goes to search for potential entrances into any underground spaces. Meanwhile, our ground-penetrating radar team gets to work surveying the area beneath the tower.
Turn ourselves around here.
And right off the bat, we start to get some strange readings.
So, yeah, we're starting to see the disturbances already. This is the very beginning of what we were expecting to see for the anomaly.
So we know it starts here.
Yep, and it's pretty strong. And we're looking at about 10 feet in depth.
This being the surface here, so it's a very distinct start to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, Dolan is canvassing some of the surrounding wooded parts of the park. According to Swerdlow, there's an entire network of underground tunnels throughout the area.
On the old base, you do see manhole covers or just even entrances that are covered by metal plates. Allegedly, some of them, they say, are for sewer systems or rainwater draining and that kind of thing. But those were once escape hatches for the underground area.
This is one of the many manholes that's said to be in this area. There's some water. There's a water pipe here. A ladder going down. It looks like it's been backfilled.
Right. I'm going to regret this, I'm sure. I want to see how deep this is. I wonder if they could have been designed as a water drainage. Maybe there's a lot of water usage at that facility. Why do you need a ladder going into a water drainage hole?